Stop making noise. We're live.
Sorry.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. So we're going to get to InfoSec in a second. But first, as folks know, we're in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a snowstorm heading our way. And that really doesn't happen that often, huh, Mike?
It doesn't. But I'll tell you that when I worked for the city of Seattle, part of what I had to do was work in the Emergency Operations Center. And even though we practice things like earthquakes and stuff like that all the time, the only reason we ever had to go over and activate the EOC is when Seattle gets its every 3 years 2 inches of snow and turns the city into a paralyzed mess. And I assume that's what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, when I worked at Cairo, we vaulted ourselves to number one in the market by getting on air at like 4 a.m. and staying on air until like 7 p.m. And, everyone else went off air. But I mean, we were on air with cars on the highway, just spinning. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It was, terrible for the city.
Yeah, the way Seattle rises out of the water, it just makes it impossible when that snow turns to ice on those streets.
Right.
You don't want to be there, man.
Hilliest big city in America where it snows. People are like, oh, Seattle people are wimps. No, they're not. That's not. They're because of our proximity to the water. The first layer is wet, turns to ice, and then you have snow on top of it, and it's terrible. And Kara in the comments says Seattle Snowmageddon. Yes, I will tell you, however, now there is an intersection here where my kids are like, well, wait. Do we have school? Because it's virtual. And the school system sent out a note and said, yes, you do. And so, my kids last year put spoons under the pillow because that's a superstition thing you do, I guess. Or throw ice cubes at dad, one of those things. And so my daughter asks me, well, what would cancel school? And then she looks at me and she says, oh, like if the computers went down. And then she stared at me.
What did you say? I know a guy.
No, I said, you know what? Honestly, I said, if it snows a lot, like you can play hooky. And her response was, what's hooky?
What's hooky? I knew that was coming.
Oh God. All right. Let's get to the reason that we're all here, which is not to talk about snow and snoo. Yes. Snow and Seattle. Okay. Important thing. Tomorrow is free security awareness training. More important than ever. You got to protect your passwords. You got to protect the passwords of the people around you. In the comments, I'm going to put in a link to the security awareness training. It is never boring. Mike does it. I make fun of him as we go.
Oh, it's awesome.
I heard back from somebody who did our security awareness training and said they think it saved them. They work for a city. They think it saved lives because nobody got in. That's what we're about, saving lives. It's
somebody actually said that.
Yeah, it was great. They said that they hadn't changed their password for a long time. After doing the training, they checked and found out that the password they were using for the city that they were in was on the dark web. They changed it, and they're like, hey, you never know, right? And the one that drives it home this week is the Florida water utility, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Should we talk about that?
Probably. I mean, and then there's the Washington State incident. Cities and counties at elevated risk because of the loss of information from that document sharing site Excellion, from the state auditor's office. By the way, it's important. Washington cities and counties, and any anyone in Washington, if you're affected by that, sorry for being marketing-y for a second, but we can help you. We'll discount. We just want to help. Like, this is not about selling. This is about like, wow, you are at risk. We are here with you in Snowmageddon, and we can help. So shoot me an email, jake@ci.security, or send Mike a LinkedIn note. Will help.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're here for you.
Yeah, this is outside our normal sales process. So let's you can contact myself directly and I'll get things moving personally, because this is different, right? I mean, for this window of time, we'll give short contracts just to get through this until we figure out exactly what the exposures that were created have been, and we're able to close that stuff down. But right now it's a really good time to pull the radar up on the network.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Oldsmar. Not that I think it's funny that there's a city in Florida named
Oldsmar. Yeah,
but we'll leave it there. So, hey, what happened there, Mike?
So we don't know who done it, but the facts suggest that it was just a drive-by. Okay, so the recap is this: a water utility near Tampa, Oldsmar, was the victim of unauthorized access to the operational technology that performs water purification. And an operator saw the mouse being operated by some remote actor during midday, corrected the change immediately, which the change was ramping the concentration of sodium hydroxide by a couple of orders of magnitude, which would drive the pH of the water way up. Stopped that and reported the incident. Okay, so to me, that suggests that someone found this TeamViewer exposure, because that was what was used, using Shodan or just through probing. They either guessed or had the password, got in and diddled with something they didn't understand and left. That's what it looks like to me. This is not suggestive of a nation state actor. Could be a former employee, a criminal of opportunity. I continue to think that an arrest is going to be made soon.
A criminal of opportunity?
A criminal of opportunity. That's right. English is a dynamic language, Jake.
It's going to snow. It's too cold for Mike to get the language right. Sorry. Keep going, Mike.
Okay. All right. If the actor was domestic, I think there's going to be an arrest made soon, and we're going to find out that it was basically a doofus. And I'm betting they didn't hide their tracks well, if at all. So,
hey, that reminds me. I'm going to ask you another question about that. One of the things in my writing this week that I've been doing is coming up with new adjectives to talk about cyber criminals, and I've come up with, like terrible people. I've come up with ne'er-do-wells. All sorts of good adjectives. Terrorists. Doofus had not come up. If people have other adjectives they think we should use to talk about cyber criminals, put them in the comments. So doofus will add to ne'er-do-well and terrible people. So back to Oldsmar. Any new information come out since yesterday?
About the doofus? Well, no, but new information is this. So all of the computers running the plant are on Windows 7, unsupported, end of life. They had no firewall limiting access to that TeamViewer exposure, and everyone knew and shared the password with no second authentication factor required. Right. So now we look at that, us, right? People in this business, we say, well, that's a whole bunch of security fails and someone sure doesn't know what they're doing, and cyber. But this problem is endemic to local government. They just don't have the revenue to spend money on security. They need security. They're a target. And the technology that has to operate and provide services like water is super critical. So that very specifically is why CI security exists.
Yeah, 100%. But they shared their password?
Yeah, they do that. Remember, the people that operate these operational technologies, these are not, IT people that know networking and what port goes with what protocol and things like this. These are folks that come up through the trades, pipe fitters, welders, stuff like that, and end up operating this technology that is set it and forget it. You don't mess with it when it works. And, that's different, that environment, and it's very hard to have consistent application of policy across the IT and OT demarcation, if that makes sense. So yeah, they shared passwords. Yes, they did.
Makes sense. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know what? That's one of the things I like most about Mike is his empathy for people in local government and why things happen. Good empathy, Mike. Well done. By the way, I thought that was a good panel discussion yesterday. One thing that came out that was interesting is the public utility commissions, municipal utility commissions, and some other places, might be able to move the needle here. You were pretty passionate about that yesterday.
Yeah, it came up. I forget who said what, but it all of a sudden made a lot of sense that it might be good timing right now, while this is on everyone's mind, to go lobby public utility commissions for a rate increase will pay for IT and OT security for water, waste treatment, stuff like that. I cannot think of anything more critical than water, and a small rate increase to pay for security is entirely defensible. So let's start making phone calls.
Hey, by the way, in the chat, I'm getting some good adjectives here. I have hooligan and miscreant.
Hooligan's good.
Hooligan's good. I like hooligan. I like miscreant too.
I've been called a hooligan, actually.
I think I called you a hooligan. All right. Anyway, I think that idea went over really well yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'd probably pay $1 more a month for better cybersecurity on my water, especially because I live under a water tower. I do not want it to fall over, whether physically or cyberly. What else happened this week?
So I guess the rundown of news. Well, first, our colleague Drex DeFord published a health sector report that validated our prediction earlier that the second half of 2020 was going to show a big uptick in records lost. And that happened. And interestingly, most of the loss was from business associates. That's HIPAA speak for third parties supply chain, right? Which is unsurprising given we see that trend everywhere. And another interesting factoid, legislation was just passed to create a safe harbor to reward organizations that are using best practices. Nobody ever knew what that meant for meeting HIPAA requirements. So that's good. Also, correction from last week. I said that Emotet was taken down by Microsoft, and it turns out it was International Law Enforcement Coordination, which is good because law enforcement in the 21st century should cyber more and shoot less, in my opinion. North Korean actors have stolen about $300 million in operations against financial institutions and virtual currency exchanges, and is using the funds to keep the economy afloat and pay for weapons programs. I'm not sure how we know how those funds are being spent, but I don't find that hard to believe. Ransomware payments are up, right? More organizations are paying ransom, and the extortion demands are way up, like more than 300%. Adobe and Microsoft vulnerabilities are being chained together and actively exploited right now. So reboot those computers and download Adobe patches, everybody. What else? Virginia may be the next state to have a privacy law, which will further convolute things in the absence of federal legislation. When we get to 50 of those, it's going to be a mess. Billions of stolen passwords are for sale on dark markets for as little as $2. There are increasing calls for, I like this one, there are increasing calls for the military to go after cyber criminals. That is something I support. Let's get some extraordinary rendition going on for the right reasons and send some new guests to the Gitmo Hotel. What else? There's a report out. Oh, this is interesting. There's a report out. This is kind of health sector too. A report out that says 98% of IoT, including medical devices, are unencrypted and unsecured. Whoa.
I haven't seen that one. Yikes.
Once you read the blast.
Oh, is that the thing you send out every morning?
That's it, yeah.
It's at 5:15. I'm on the treadmill.
Gerbil wheel, yeah.
By the way, I'm watching some good TV shows on the thing, and the TV show that one of our analysts told me to watch, Mr. Robot, not a good TV show. But hey, back to cyber.
What are you talking about? It's a great show. Well,
God,
the first season was really good.
No, it's not. It is not a good TV show. Oh God. Oh, I'll send you good TV shows.
He was better as Freddie Mercury. I will say that.
Oh, there are better TV shows. So there's more, right? I mean, I do actually read the blast when I get off the treadmill. There's more, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. One more. that is absolutely worth noting, going back to the SolarWinds thing, apparently Chinese actors leveraged the SolarWinds vulnerability in the Orion product to steal federal payroll info. So that's interesting for two reasons. A, they exploited the Russian compromise, apparently. But I think more interesting, at least for me, B, the Chinese are thought to have been the ones behind the OPM, the Office of Personnel Management hack from years ago, meaning they already had all the info on federal employees down to the fingerprints. So what exactly were they after? It's just odd on a couple of fronts.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Well, it's not. It's about time for us to get on with our Thursday,
With our snow day.
with our near snow day. At the end of all of these, for people who haven't joined, we have a kicker. Kicker in local news rundown speak is the story at the end of the newscast that leaves you with a smile. Mike, what you got?
Well, I looked for some good irony this week, but all I could find was something that I think is just kind of interesting. There's a phishing attack that is using, and I'm not making this up, Morse code to bypass mail filters. So the malicious URLs, which come in an attachment, are coded that way that, for example, makes it maps an A to dot dash, and a B is mapped to dash dot dot dot. Okay, that's what the URL is in this thing. That's clever, but now they're caught.
That is clever. You know what? Yeah, you know what the funniest news of the week was, and I really wanted you to use it there, even though it's not really cyber.
What about the Mensa people?
No, the cat, the lawyer in Texas with the kitten face.
I don't do names.
But now I just expect scammers to send around like a link of here's how to use the kitten filter or something.
Why you want to give people ideas like that, Jake?
Hey, you know what? I just realized I can put comments on the screen, so I can put under your face that. Oh shoot, it's under me. Damn it! I did it wrong. Oh, I did it wrong. Oh. All right. Well, I screwed that up. All right, everybody. Happy snow day.
Yep.
And again, hey, if you security awareness training link is in the chat. Drex's breach report is in the chat. We're actually going to do a Drex is going to hold a healthcare panel next week. Also, Jeremy and Mike Simon, Smart Mike, are going to. Did you hear me? Oh, sorry. They're gonna do a really, really cool demo of how a ransomware attack unfolds. We talked about it yesterday. It's pretty cool. So I don't have all of the links in front of me. So just email me, Jake at CI Security, and I will. If you want an invite, I'll make sure to send you an invite. I'll put my email address in the chat here, which I'm sure violates some security something. I don't know.
You're a walking exception. And by the way, are we going to have is there video of the panel we did yesterday on?
Yeah. We that's actually uploading to YouTube right now. So it'll be on our blog later today, or just email me and I'll send you a link. If you know anybody who works in a city that touches water, like they have to watch it. It is super important.
One of the panelists actually builds water plants, and so
Dan at Various.
Yeah,
he's
Dan,
awesome.
He was great to have on there. I really like him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we were all talking, and then like the smart guy started talking. Like it was great. All right, everybody. Have a great Thursday. And Mike, I want one. Hey, can I get one of those sweatshirts? It's a good color.
You haven't been part of this community long enough to know that this is a hoodie?
I don't know because I don't watch Mr. Robot.
Goodbye. Oh, yeah, I get you one. Bye.
Yeah.